just applying this all mutatis mutandis to COVID. People go between hoax, setup, staged, all saying it was created by humans. This was verboten discussion at one point in time. All along the spectrum. It doesn't exist. I've heard people say it. It's never been isolated. Yada yada. I'm not getting into that. I think most people agree it exists. The question is, was it man-made? Was it natural? Okay. It exists. Now the question is, was it deliberately released so that governments across the world could do whatever? Or did governments across the world say, this is out there, this is our opportunity, let's exploit it? Well, you're sort of describing the same phenomenon from two different perspectives, and it's not even clear that the distinction makes a difference. Deliberately released, accidentally released, or originated in nature, if the end result is that the governments of the world are weaponizing or capitalizing off of that state of affairs, you're probably describing the same thing. So whether or not it was deliberately released by bad actors, when you have the WEF literally saying black on white on their website, it's an opportunity to reshape the world. I'm paraphrasing how they said it, just so nobody accuses me of misrepresenting. Let me just go get the actual manner in which they described it. WEF, great opportunity, COVID pandemic. I don't want anyone accusing me of mischaracterizing how they said it. Deliberately released, accidentally released, man-made, naturally occurring. Once the governments of the world start doing this, the pandemic represents a rare but narrow window of opportunity to reflect, reimagine, and reset our world. Professor Klaus Schwab, who's penetrated more than half of the Canadian cabinet and arguably other governments across the world, once you start seeing this, it no longer matters when you're saying it's a staged event, whether or not it was released on purpose, released by accident, man-made, natural, whatever. Once it's out there, and then you have these global organizations saying literally, quote, the pandemic represents a rare but narrow window of opportunity to reflect, reimagine, and reset our world, end quote. Professor Klaus Schwab. No, hold on. We got to reread it again. The pandemic represents a rare but narrow window of opportunity to reflect, reimagine, and reset our world, end quote. Professor Klaus Schwab, founder and executive chairman, World Economic Forum. When you have global entities saying this, well, then when someone says it was a staged event, these are the nuances. So Pattis, if you're listening to this, when they're using terms that have multiple meanings, are often used interchangeably but inaccurately. So this would be the thing to reflect. Okay. Oh, by the way, Alex Jones says they're trying to starve people to death to reduce population. That sounds crazy. Hold on. Where's the link? It's because I opened it in the wrong browser. Safari. I opened all of this in Safari and not Google Chrome. Come on, Dave, get your stuff together. Oh, it sounds crazy. They're starving. They're trying to starve the world, or these global elites who are using the pandemic to reset the world are also involved in some form of plan or act of starving people. Oh, I'm sorry. What's this? And by the way, I'm not saying I agree or disagree with any of this. I don't get into the intentions, whether or not Bill Gates and the global elites are deliberately trying to starve people, or it's just occurring because of their idiotic government policies. If the outcome is the same, I'll set aside intentions. On purpose or not, I don't know. But look, if I'm in that jury, and now that the door has been opened by the principal chief examination of this witness, Bill Gates likely saw food shortages coming years ago. Why his land accumulation feels calculated. I'm sorry, is this written by Alex Jones? Who's it? No, I'm sorry. That's Dan Budson, Yahoo News. Oh, I'm sorry. I thought Alex Jones was the crazy person talking about global elites buying up farmland to try to starve people. Let's read the article just to see if the headline remains anything true. Let me just go to the chat in Rumble because I like seeing the chat. There's a $10 Rumble rant. Goldie Sisp says, I strongly urge Oh, Goldstein, you're wasting. This is another one. I strongly urge plaintiffs to sue Robert and David for defamation, given this false information discussed regarding these cases. Okay. By the way, you just financed something. I guess they should. I guess you should be sued too by extension. I don't know if this is intended to be parody to illustrate the absurdity of the lawsuit against Alex Jones. I'm not sure. You never know. But thank you for the support. There were more rumble rounds, which I'll get to in a second. I can't get over the absurdity of that comment if it's intended to be serious. But Alex Jones believes that global elites are trying to starve the people. Bill Gates likely saw food shortages coming years ago. He saw it coming because it's here now. Why his land accumulation feels calculated. It feels deliberate. It's almost like his land grab was deliberate when he foresaw food shortages. If Alex Jones had written this article, you would be, well, not you, as in the prosecutors, screaming from the rooftop. Bill Gates, co-founder of Microsoft Corp, has had an incredibly impressive career, having the foresight and vision to push technology forward and make savvy investments along the way, helped turn Gates into one of the richest men on the planet and a billionaire several times over. You know what's amazing? You can see how they're going to frame. Some are going to frame this as malicious, deliberate, and sinister. This article is going to frame it as genius, business savvy, foresight. You know what the problem is? When you get rich enough to actually produce the results of the bets that you've placed, that is where things become a problem. Has Bill Gates acquired enough influence, enough wealth to actually produce certain outcomes on which he has placed bets? I'll say yes. United Nations officials released a statement this week that said food shortages were going from bad to worse. Oh, I'm sorry. Didn't that lawyer just accuse Alex Jones of saying the same thing in different words and calling it crazy conspiracy theory? Not journalism. They attributed the increase in scarcity to Russia's invasion of Ukraine and climate emergencies. Yep. Nothing to do with government responses to those issues. It's not the incompetent government response to global issues, and I'll include climate emergencies for the sake of argument. It's the issues, not the response. COVID caused the food shortages, not the government response to shut down the world. Just one example in a litany of contributing climate factors is the current state of affairs in India. Experiencing unprecedented heat, India banned wheat exports a few months ago. According to the World Food Program, roughly 50 million people across 40 countries are already on the verge of famine. Nearly 350 million people endure near starvation conditions, a number that is up 25% since the start of the year. Oh, I'm sorry. Because with the way that lawyer was saying things, it sounded like Alex Jones was crazy. Climate change and its effects on hunger and global pandemics have been on Gates' radars for years. Oh, he's so smart. Such a savvy businessman. Gates invested $10 billion in the global health in 2019. A smart move because making vaccines more accessible creates a 20-to-1 return. Oh, I'm sorry. I thought returns were immoral. Alex is only doing, Alex, what was Alex doing? 10-to-1. Yeah, Alex was doing 10-to-1 on the beet juice. I think the net cost, the gross cost was $4. The gross sales was $10. So that was not a net 20-to-1 return. It was gross. His foresight is uncanny. And had you mimicked his investment patterns, you probably would have made money too. Just because you don't have $10 billion doesn't mean you can take what you want. Doesn't mean you can take what you have. Just because you don't have $10 billion doesn't mean you can take what you do have and copy his trading decisions. Oh, wow. Okay, story continues. Oh, boy, let's see here. Related, hold on. There's not much more to it. Concerns were shared earlier this month by farmer Will Harris, who owns a family farm that's over 150 years old. Benzinga covered the story. The farmer shared his concerns ranging from overuse of technology to misplaced blame. Sorry, I missed the most important thing. It may be beneficial to do the same with farmland. Gates has been gobbling up farmland for years and has recently become the largest owner of U.S. farmland in the world. It's funny when other people say it's conspiracy theory. Other billionaires are also buying land, including Jeff Bezos and Ted Turner. So the man who's pushing vaccines, who's pushing compliance, medical compliance, is now acquiring, let me just say it, the largest owner of U.S. farmland in the world. He has a hand in policy. At least he has an influence in policy. And now he's going to have control over food. If I were reading this on InfoWars, I would be scared. I might be buying food to put under the table. But I'm reading it on Yahoo, who's also making money off the fear, but they're fine. Concerns were shared earlier this month by farmer, yada, yada. Most alarming was his reference to Gates' attempts to influence agriculture systems in India and Africa and their perceived failures. Harris even went so far as to call the attempts a fiasco. Whether or not you believe in Gates' intentions is up to you. From an investing standpoint, however, it can be wise to mimic the rich. If you want to make moves like Gates and possibly achieve massive returns, consider investing in farmland real estate investment trust REIT like Farmland Partners. While farmland may not be exciting, it has proven to be sustainability and returns. It's amazing. It sounds like exactly what the lawyer was saying was a total wild nut job would be saying these things. But lo and behold, when Yahoo reports on it, it's news. When Alex Jones reports on it with his hyperbolic, over-the-top rhetoric, which some might argue is more style than substance, it's a big no-no. Is Goldstein doing? No joke. I spent the money to force you to discuss it. You have no training in American defamation. Okay. Goldstein, or it's Goldie Sisp. Anyway, again, thank you for the support. Anyway, so that's one element of it. Alex Jones is saying that there's a global elite that's forcing the world into starvation. The force is a question of opinion. There's a global elite who have declared that they are exploiting the pandemic for a reset. You have another billionaire who is now the largest U.S. farmland owner in the world in the context of what is now a famine that is up 25% over this year, has 50 million people on, I forget what, it was 50 million in famine, 350 million on the verge. Yeah, no, but it's what Alex Jones is saying is totally crazy.